Yeah, we couldn't find the saddles.
When I reach the river towns, Dustland's cold.
We wouldn't have said it was going to take us 6 years to make another album. I mean, I think we probably would have thought maybe like half of that time, but 6 years is what it took, so.
What's been promised to the grand?
I mean, this whole album is dust and water. The whole album, every song practically refers to something of those elements.
And it don't give a shit.
It's funny that you mentioned Bruce Springsteen because I think there were places on this album, like once I had the lyrics done, you know, there was like no conscious like Springsteen, let's say, obsession that I was operating from. But when I got them done, I did see that there was some, you know, let's say parallels to that kind of songwriting, and his specifically. You know, there's even a song, "Long Drive in a Slow Machine," that, you know, almost even references a similar kind of story to Racing in the Street by Springsteen. I mean, just very vaguely, but I mean, I never really noticed this parallel till I had the song finished.
Dustland's cold.
I think, you know, once you deal with these kind of, let's say, larger American themes, I think you know, it's just like in literature. If you deal with like the great American novel, you're going to bump into Fitzgerald, you're going to bump into Faulkner, you're going to bump into Hemingway. You know, if you start dealing with the Great American Songbook, you're going to probably bump into Dylan. You're probably going to bump into Springsteen. You know, there's just certain, let's say, like mountains that are hard to, you know, not run into. You know, when you're dealing with these themes.
Yeah, and you're carrying them with you.
Yeah.
These books, these movies, everything you've ever that made any impression upon you at any age in your life, you are carrying that inside you.
What is American music? I mean, so much of American music comes from, let's say, you know, West Africa to begin with. I mean, I don't know where, you know, anytime you want to define like the lineage or the history of something, it's always like, where do you stop and how far you go back, you know? And I think now we actually live in a world that, you know, things like pure this and pure that are probably pretty irrelevant because we've sort of transcended purity at this point. I think there's so much communication and so much interconnection. You know, I work with artists in Mali, in West Africa.
One time when we were traveling in Morocco, Chris and I were like, what are all these banjos doing here? And we were thinking, how did that instrument come back? Or not come back, but how did it arrive here? And then we realized later on that banjo is an African instrument.
Yeah, it's based on the ngoni actually, which is really the first banjo that was brought with black slaves over to America.
Yeah.